All dog food companies claim about having good-for-your-dog ingredients, or they offer foods for certain types of dogs or breeds. But what most companies don't usually discuss is, how is their dry dog food made? In this video, you will see how dog foods are made. Number 7. Raw materials. The primary ingredients in pet food are byproducts of meat, poultry, and seafood, feed grains, and soybean meal. Among the animals used in rendering are livestock, horses, and house pets which have been put to sleep. The National Animal Control Association estimated that each year about 5 million pets were shipped to rendering plants and recycled into pet food during the 1990s. They are generally listed as meat or bone meal in the ingredient list. The animal parts used for pet food may include damaged carcass parts, bones, and cheek meat, and organs such as intestines, kidneys, liver, lungs, udders, spleen, and stomach tissue. Cereal grains such as soybean meal, cornmeal, cracked wheat, and barley are often used to improve the consistency of the product, as well as to reduce the cost of raw materials. Gelling agents allow greater homogeneity during processing and also control the moisture. Ingredients vary somewhat depending on the type of pet food. The basic difference between canned and dry pet food is the amount of moisture. Canned foods contain between 70 and 80% moisture, since these are generally made from fresh meat products, while dry pet food contains no more than 10%. Additional ingredients used for dry foods include corn gluten feed, meat and bone meal, animal fats, and oils. For a meat-like texture, dry foods require more amylaceous or starch ingredients, proteinaceous adhesives such as collagen, albumins, and casein, and plasticizing agents. Semi-moist pet foods usually require binders, which come from a variety of sources, such as gels, cereal flours, sulfur-containing amino acids, lower alkyl mercaptans, lower alkyl sulfides, and disulfides, salts, and thiamine. Semi-moist products may also incorporate soybean flakes, bran flakes, soluble carbohydrates, emulsifiers, stabilizers, and dried skim milk and dried whey. Antioxidants are often used to retard oxidation and rancidity of fats. These include butylated hydroxyanisole, BHA, butylated hydroxyl toluene, BHT, and tocopherol. To prevent mold and bacterial growth, producers use sucrose, propylene glycol, sorbic acid, or potassium and calcium sorbates. Number 6. The manufacturing process. Walk down the pet food aisle of any large grocery or pet store, or browse your favorite pet food supply website, and you will see that you have dozens, even hundreds of brands to choose from. Each of these products is based on a recipe that has been formulated by the pet food company. The recipe is then handed off to an animal food manufacturer where the food is mixed, baked, and bagged for sale. While each brand has its own individual recipe, there are standards they must all adhere to. Standards that are regulated by the Association of American Feed Control Officials. All foods, regardless of brand, origin, or recipe, are required to be complete and nutritionally balanced, so that all of the animal's nutritional needs are being met by the ingredients included in the recipe. Except for the ingredients, the general manufacturing process for pet food is similar to that for processed food. The flesh products used in pet foods must first be rendered or processed to separate the water, fat, and protein components, including soft offals, viscera, and hard offals, in other words, bones and hoofs. Generally, meat is rendered by outside companies and shipped to pet food manufacturers. The meat products intended for canned food must be delivered fresh and used within 3 days. Frozen meat products may be used for dry foods. The manufacturing process entails grinding and cooking the flesh and flesh byproducts. Next, the meat is mixed with the other ingredients, and if the recipe requires, the mixture is shaped into the appropriate forms. The finished product is filled into containers and shipped to distributors. Innovations in pet food processing and packaging have led to better quality products with longer shelf life. Canned dog foods that are vacuum-packed have a shelf life of 3 to 5 years and are very stable with little or no loss of nutritional value. Dry dog food, on the other hand, has a shelf life of only 10 to 12 months and requires the addition of preservatives, though some manufacturers are using natural preservatives such as vitamins E and C. Number 5. Rendering, grinding, and pre-cooking the meat. Rendering is a process that uses heat to separate fat and water from meat solids. In the case of pet food, the initial product used for rendering can be anything from meat trim to euthanized pets. Once the meat solids have been separated from the fat and water, they are then heated again and ground into a powder. The resultant product is what is known as meat meal. Generally, rendering is performed by meat processors. Rendering entails rupturing fat cells either by heat or enzymatic and solvent extraction, and then drying the residue. The meat products are coarsely ground to the desired texture. To facilitate further processing, the ground meat is cooked in a continuous cooker with live steam at the appropriate temperature. The flesh products are reground after initial cooking to produce a more uniform consistency. For semi-moist or chunky foods, the batches are deliberately cooked unevenly to create the desired chunky texture. Number 4. Blending and shaping. The meat mixture is blended with other ingredients such as cereal grains, vitamins, and minerals. Dry and semi-moist foods are usually heated so the mixture will partially dextrinize or thicken the starch. To achieve the marbled look of real meat, the meat mixture may be cooked unevenly and half of the batch colored red and the other white. Dry and semi-moist foods may be extruded under high pressure through a device with orifaced plates to obtain the shape and size of the specific product. For instance, the form of biscuits, kibbles, meatballs, patties, pellets, or slices. An alternative to extrusion is to gelatinize and expand the mixture. For marbled meat, the mixture of red and white meat is extruded together and broken into chunks. Number 3. Sterilization. Cans of pet food are sterilized by passing them through a retort or heating chamber. The retort may be either a batch or continuous hydrostatic type. The cans are heated to about 250 Fahrenheit, 121 Celsius, for 80 minutes. Though the cooking temperatures and times depend on the contents, steam pressure, and can size. The cans are quickly cooled to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius. Next, the cans are dried and labeled. The containers are packaged into corrugated cardboard boxes or shrink-wrapped with plastic in corrugated cardboard trays. The pet food is ready for shipping to distributors. Number 2. The extrusion process. There are multiple ways that dog food companies cook their products, but one of the most common is through extrusion. Dog biscuits and cakes have reportedly been around since Roman times. In modern times, the process of creating dry pet food is done by either baking or extruding. Originally created to produce puffed breakfast cereals, the machines that are used for the extrusion process are an efficient method for manufacturing large quantities of nutritious, shelf-stable pet foods. This process begins with the dough, a mixture of raw, dry, and wet ingredients that are mixed together until they form a dough-like consistency. This dough is then fed into a machine called an expander, which uses pressurized steam or hot water to cook the ingredients. The dough is then forced or extruded through specially sized and shaped holes, called die, where it is cut off by a knife. This process allows companies to quickly produce large amounts of dog food. However, these efficiencies come at a cost. The high temperatures and pressures needed for extruding dog food may damage the key nutrients found in the raw ingredients. In addition, extruded dry dog food kibbles almost always need additional flavoring to make up for what was lost during manufacturing. This process, sometimes called enrobing, sprays on a combination of rendered fat and additional liquid or powder flavoring to the finished dry food to make it taste better and be more appealing to dogs than it would be otherwise. More gentle way to prepare dry dog food by slow cooking it in small batches instead. Eliminating the extrusion process allows for 3 big differences in our dry food. First, we can use more fresh chicken ingredients to start instead of rendered dry meals. An extruder would limit the amount of fresh chicken we could use. Second, slow cooking certain ingredients like corn creates numerous nutritional benefits that a rapid cooking extrusion process can't offer. Third, the lower and slower cooking temperatures help to protect the key nutrients dogs need daily in their diet. Number 1. Not all foods are the same. Knowing how to read a label is an important part of choosing the right food for your pet. Some brands will use more grains and animal byproducts than actual meat products. The ingredients are listed in descending order, from most to least. If you wish to feed a kibble with more meat than grain, and this is generally suggested, you will need to find foods that list meat as the first ingredient, with grain ingredients following. It is also important to note that dogs are more tolerant of grain ingredients. It has long been noted that dogs are omnivorous and thrive on a combination of meat, vegetable, and grain. Do let us know which dog food you are using for your little friend. Please subscribe to our amazing dogs. Thanks for watching.